So last night I had an amazing time. I got to see a sneak preview of Showtime's Rick James. It's coming out September 3rd, a incredible documentary that was mind-blowing. The depth and character of this, I had no idea. And I was so overwhelmed at being a special guest to see the sneak preview, and also everything that was there, that the creators, some of the creators from it, I grabbed them and I dragged them to the studio. I happen to know one of them, Fabian. He was the one that got me in as a special guest because we go way back, right?
Indeed.
He's one of my money guys too. He's a banker. So you're gonna think everybody on this show is my banker. Well, here's another banker. All right,
Absolutely.
you gotta keep your bankers close, right?
It's got man. It's got
Yeah. Yes. So definitely. So I'd like to introduce Fabian Vincent.
Thank you. Great to be here. And listen, thanks for coming out last minute invite. So thanks. And I'm glad you enjoyed it. A lot of people our age, say, yeah, we know Rick James, but you don't really know the depth of this individual, and how many people he's helped in the industry, and how creative he was, not just for himself, but as a producer. And, I'm happy to be involved in this project because of my partner, Cole, who we have mutual friends out in Europe and investment bankers and so forth, and hedge fund guys that we know.
Are you excited? No?
Well, it's not really, but
You said I was like the coolest guy.
he said I was a baker.
Yeah, it's his lap. He's so much fun. I'm like,
well, the thing about me, as you well know, even though my career has been in banking, everyone always used to address me as a Fabian Vincent, not just a banker. So it's just doing a lot of different things, and this is part of it. Not just a banker, not just a banker.
he's a Renaissance guy. So let's do a little banking on the side.
Subtle mic drop.
So I've known Cole for some time, and I'll let him introduce himself. He's been in the entertainment industry since he was like 15 years old. His family started a record company in Texas, but nonetheless, he's involved with the estate of the Rick James. And I drove down to LA a few weeks ago to meet with the family and the daughter who's running the estate now. And I saw the private screening of the piece. And, so we decided, hey, look, let's bring it to Vegas and talk to some of the people that we're talking to. And as far as monetizing who Rick James is and his persona and everything else around him, including his business, his music. But I'll let Cole talk about the estate.
So I think this is important that we cover this. I think this is a very important point. Because this is when I'm at parties with Fabian, this is one of the things that is just amazing is you notice a little bit of an accent there. People love that. So we're always the life of the party. If you want to have a good party, you just bring it in. So can you tell them where that comes from? It's such a,
Absolutely. Well, thank you for that. If you're from Las Vegas and people ask where I'm from, I said, I'm from Pahrump. That's not a Pahrump accent, but I'm from Trinidad and Tobago. It's a twin island nation in the Caribbean. A lot of people have heard of it, and they say Trinidad and Tobago, but it's Tobago. And it's about 5 miles off the coast of Venezuela. So it's way down there. And it's very cosmopolitan. Half of the countries are Indians. So we have Indians, East Indians, Hindus, and Muslims living together as one, intermarrying. And then we have the blacks, of course. And then, when you have this whole mix of dynamics of people and culture and food, it's just a crazy, amazing place. So that's where I'm from.
You have a civilization, isn't that?
Absolutely. And I grew up in the rainforest in the sister island, Tobago, which is about 114 square miles.
Wow.
Trinidad is about 1,600 square miles, got 1,000,002 people. Tobago has like 60,000 people. And I grew up in the bush, man. When I grew up, I was carrying water from the river on my head so I could bathe and shower in the morning before going to school. Okay, that's how I grew up. No power, no electricity, none of that stuff.
And just here, keep it real. When we're at his house, he still does it. They just, he's I'm like, what are you doing? Carry water. He's like, gotta keep the muscles strong.
But I love it.
Is that why you got the blind man?
Well, what's
So he used to play football.
I'm so happy and I'm so fortunate. I feel very blessed that I had that kind of upbringing because I appreciate every single thing. And I don't take anything for granted. And when it comes to getting business done and moving forward and not letting anything stand in the way. That's from that. It's from that upbringing, you know.
I can attest to that. How long have we known each other now?
Well, since you've been here, pretty much 20-something years.
Yeah. It's been a while.
Yeah. We've done a lot together. And
Yeah,
we're gonna do more. We're gonna do more too. I can see it. I can feel it. I can feel.
Sorry to interrupt your introduction. You know, I know people were thinking.
You know someone for a long time, you have rich history with them, you wanna talk about that, you know. So I think you know, I think it's very important that you guys have that long history. 20 years is a long time to know someone.
Yeah, especially in Vegas. But the thing is not just safe. Well, yeah, but in Vegas especially, man, everybody comes and goes.
Yep.
But to maintain the kind of relationship that we've had, I mean, we've talked for a while, but you pick up the phone, it's like we were on the phone yesterday.
Yeah,
But that's real relationships. That's what
and you can have conflict. We've had problems
with that.
arguments and stuff.
But that builds more.
Yeah,
Friction builds more connections, right?
Exactly.
You can't really have a real relationship if it's never been tested.
True.
So when people say, "Oh, I know someone," if you haven't really tested it, you don't know.
You don't know.
You don't know them.
You don't know.
Because how they respond to that test,
Yeah.
in those trying moments, is how you know your relationship can grow or dissipate. And so 20 years is a great time to figure a lot of that out.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
Each through the ups and downs of
Everything
of life.
You've seen it all.
Absolutely.
This is the hardest hit real estate place in the entire country, and we were in the middle of it, in the middle of our relationship. That sounds like a
Zero. Ground zero is what we refer to as.
It's terrible.
Well, what's great is, and going back to Cole.
Yeah, let's get back to Cole.
Well, the good thing is that
He's got to do it. So, next still here. Thanks for showing up.
I'm just here to make you guys have some more history.
Cole's background in the entertainment industry, he reached out to me through our relationship, knowing that I've been here for a long time, as we just discussed. And when you're on the ground, boots on the ground in Las Vegas, as you well know, this is a relationship city. You just can't come in here and just really decide, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. You've got to not just be invited, but you have to get in with the crowd and to be kind of accepted in a way so you can get help. So that's kind of the role I play for the team that we're building here, is to be able to navigate Las Vegas.
Yeah.
The Rolodex.
Otherwise, people will shine you on forever. Oh yeah, no problem. And then you're 2 years later, and you're like,
Well, you gotta, one of the things I think is very important in business is knowing how to maneuver in different landscapes. And the best thing you can do in that is find a veteran that understands the landmines and the landscapes better and quicker. Work smarter, not harder, right? If you have someone that's already been through a lot of this stuff and you have a relationship with them, you bring them into the fold and you share the load and let them bring in their expertise that they've already earned that reputation. They've already earned that stamp. And now you're jumping a line by utilizing those pipes, which is the smartest way to do any business, but most people don't because they like hard work.
it's so fast track when you use relationships.
Yeah.
He picked up the phone. I'm like, oh, yeah, whatever you want.
Yeah.
And then click. He goes, by the way, I was asking for whatever you want, baby. I know. I'm
Very careful about whatever you want.
No, he's not exaggerating. That's exactly what he said. Whatever you want, Fabe. When do you want to do it? No,
I just say close to you.
That goes along. That's long.
Well, just to bring things back full circle, within the confines of the structure of the deal for the Rick James Bitching, which is what the documentary is actually titled. It's called Bitching. That's being released on Showtime September 3rd. Originally, his daughter, Ty James, wanted to figure out how she can reintroduce the legacy of her father to the world. And everything he did, everything he was a pioneer of, and his ups and his downs, and why he was such a pivotal person in the entertainment business, and the actual pathways he opened for so many artists, right? And I think she did a great job with that. She was very spearheading the front of saying, I need this to happen, and I need it to happen the way we want it to happen, not, a skewed view, not someone else telling the story, not giving up a lot of the equity. She was able to retain a lot of power in that situation with Showtime, which is not easy to go into these big institutional businesses and entertainment and say, this is how I want it done. It has to be done this way. Mass Appeal helped produce it, which is a very big production company, if anyone doesn't know. and they jumped on and they've done so many beautiful things. And between Mass Appeal, the estate, and Showtimes, I think we came up with something really beautifully. One of the other components that is happening now, why I'm kind of spearheading the launch of this, is bringing other verticals to the estate. From a television or a film perspective, we're working on trying to decide if it's going to be a TV series.
Let's break it down for the audience, right? So let's say I'm Andrew, right? And I happen to be Andrew, right? But somebody says, your name would be perfect on a coffee brand. But I don't want to do coffee, right? You know what I mean? So somebody says, hey, let me use your name and let's go make the perfect coffee called Andrew. And then that would be a vertical. And then they say, Andrew, we like your shoes. We'd like to do your shoes. Like, think of Michael Jordan, right? Billionaire. Why? A vertical. It wasn't his vertical leap. It was his vertical integration to the marketplace. So what Cole's talking about is basically you have this huge, ridiculous, I saw it yesterday in one of the most amazing, and I'm not saying this because you're here, because I tell you the truth. You know that.
No, but also when you're he's sitting next to me at the documentary, and I can hear him saying, wow, well, and he was laughing, and he thought this was great, and I can tell that was a natural reaction. And I said that to Fabian earlier today. I said, I think Andrew really, really enjoyed the piece. I think that he really resonated with a lot of it. I guess I was sitting next to him, and when you're sitting next to someone in a theater and you're close in proximity, you can tell if it's drying down their energy, if it's something they're not responding to, if they're not feeling it. But his response to a lot of the things that I thought was interesting, he thought was interesting. He would laugh at certain parts that I laughed at when I first saw the final project. So I think that it's great, and I think that's awesome that it resonated with you so impactfully.
I think it cross-pollinates too, because it's raw, but it's respectful.
Yes.
To who he was as a person.
Yes.
And I love authenticity. I love authenticity. That was all. My heart craves off it. Please just tell me the truth.
But that was all Tassi, the daughter. She felt like my dad lived his life out loud, proud for all his scars and his flaws and all. He lived it. He went through it. He stood up as a man. He dealt with whatever came his way. So she wanted the documentary to do the same.
You know what's funny? And I'm going to tell you straight how it started for me. I saw her, beautiful woman, beautiful, attractive, just charismatic, eccentric. I love her. I just love it, eccentric, all that. And I said, this documentary is going to be about her. She wants to be popular.
No.
And this is not going to be about, there's no way this is going to be good. I'm like, Fabian dragged me out here. It's like another, hopeful project. And then boom, the whole thing she took and said it was her love.
Yes.
And then boom, it wasn't about her at all. It was just all of it, and how raw she was with her truth.
Yes.
About him and the relationship they had and how she felt and
how she let others speak more than she spoke.
She could have dramatized she could have made it all.
She kind of narrated the whole thing.
Yeah.
Even when you look at the animation part, it's an animation part to this component. That was all her. Showtime, Mass Appeal, they didn't really like that and didn't understand.
I thought it was great.
She was like, no, because I can't duplicate those moments because A, we don't have the footage, B, he's not alive. But because of these are serious moments, and these are moments that, could be a mouth dropper for a lot of people.
I love that. Did it just that?
They didn't. But again, there's a lot of people.
I want to be walked through the moment.
But a lot of people don't know. Again, you're a different type of consumer, right? Correct. Remember, we're in a business that people don't always understand how consumers and what they need to do. They don't lead them to the water. They just kind of like, oh, there goes the water, and you figure it out, right? And there's no real direction on how to elevate a consumer, right? And make sure they are getting inspired and being intrigued and getting their money worth, right? Because Showtime is a premium add-on to cable. So therefore, the people who are watching this did pay for it. Through their packaging of whatever cable subscription they have. So you should still give them quality product, right? And to backtrack, just because I know these guys gave you a 20-year relationship of who they are. My name, I don't go by my first name. My first name is Anthony Cole, but I go by Cole, or A Cole. Most people call me in my whole career. I come from a place called Houston, Texas. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful city. I started off in entertainment business at 15 years old. Wow. Working on what we call a street team, which is the guys that go outside and put up the flyers at night. Yep. And put up the promotional items in the record stores. And at night, they called it sniping because it's illegal to put up posters. So I would go to school and have to be up late at night to go snipe at like 12 midnight to like 3, and then get up at 6 for school. So I started off sniping, putting up those flyers. Moved into the mailroom.
And the statute of limitations for charging him with the fines for that are passed.
Yes.
So he's okay saying that now?
Again, I was a minor, and I did not know that it was.
I would explode.
I was a family business. I was doing what I was told. Then I went into, and this is at a record label, guys. I went into the mailroom department after that, and I used to put around 5,000 jewel case CDs together a day, which is the casing of what a CD sits in. It's called a jewel case. So I have a deep affinity for jewel case CDs and packaging, because I know what it takes to put those together and shrink wrap them and put the boxes together. And typically what happens at that point in time, when we had mom and pop record stores and we had other distribution record stores, you would package send out, because we did our own distribution. You were sent out to those different stores and make sure that the packaging came with all the promotional items and blase. After the mailroom, and I need to speed all this up, but I went from there to the marketing department. From the marketing department, while I was in the marketing department, I went from retail. I jumped 4 different sub departments while I was in the holding of marketing. So I went from retail to multimedia, to radio, and then I went on to be the assistant director of the marketing department at the age of 19. And I went off to school at LSU, Louisiana State University, where I majored in international business and marketing, as well as still working for the labels. The label I worked for is called Rap-A-Lot Records, and we had a direct relationship in distribution at that time. They used to be Reversion, then they moved to Warner. We did a partnership deal with Warner and became
Warner or Chapel Warner?
Warner Music Group.
So not Chapel?
No, not Chapel. Not the publishing side.
Not the publishing.
So we owned. They owned their own publishing at the time called In the Water. We went on to do a collaborative deal where we would own a percentage of Asylum, which was a defunct rock label under Warner, which Warner uses. Labels use. They defunct labels and then they bring them back. So like right now, Arista Records has just been relaunched again. So you'll put a label in holding and you can bring it back to activation at whatever time you want to use it. And they call defunct labels at that time. So a defunct label named Asylum, which was mainly built for rock artists at that time, was relaunching as a urban label for R&B, pop, and hip hop. And Rap-A-Lot and Warner partnered on that. So I became the liaison A&R for Asylum. So I would have to leave school at LSU, fly to Houston because there wasn't any flights out of Baton Rouge,
right?
And go from Houston to New York to LA at different times for the office meeting and be back for Tuesday for my classes. I had classes from Tuesday to Thursday.
Plus 2 girlfriends, right?
Plus a lot of girlfriends.
A lot of girlfriends, right? But I find that you can travel, do more, the more.
Exactly. No, it's 100%. So at that time, I did that. I worked my way up again into a new position at Warner at Atlantic to be an A&R there. And in between that, I started managing. Just subsequently, a kid named Orlando Brown. You guys may know him from That's So Raving Show. He also.
So that's why when I told you I'm opening a music studio in Vegas in a bunker with 4 rooms, and I have 2. So that's how you know about the Chambers.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm like, I said Chambers to him, and he's like, yeah, I know the Chambers, and people don't know about the Chambers. They don't know unless you're in the music business. the chambers, right? These echo rooms that you go into, and there's a frequency in it that's authentic, right? It's not computer generated, because our ears don't like computers. They like raw, natural sound.
Yeah.
And what they found is the computer generated perfect sound does not work. People run from it.
And it doesn't evoke the same emotion and all that. And music is an emotional thing, and people don't respond to those because they can't feel the emotion from it, the intensity from it. But Orlando Brown, who was on That So Raven show, was renegotiating his contract at the time. And he was a friend, and he reached out to me and said, Cole, can you, look at this? And I did, and I marked it up and redlined it, which is a term you use when you are responding to a previous contract written up by another attorney. You redline it with this sidebar of telling what you want to change in different sections of a contract.
Basically, we're going to own everything. Yeah. No. We have control of this. Yeah. No. They tried when I got a development deal. They said they owned my name 100% and 50% of all the companies when I got the show The Profit that I wrote. Right? They're like, in development, they're like, yeah, we own your name. I'm like,
no.
So that killed the deal.
Yeah.
They said, your name is not anything today.
Yeah.
When we make you a name, we own it.
Yeah.
We have your licensing rights.
Well, they're going to always.
I'm like, no way.
And I could give you an opinion about that, but so just to speed it up, I got Orlando a few points on the back end. I got him into a profit share margin, which the only other person on that show that had it was the marquee actor, which was Raven. He was second marquee, and I was able to negotiate certain things. So after that, he asked me to manage him. So I did. I never thought I would ever manage. I had a trajectory line of being a label exec, a motion picture production studio exec, and then owned my hotel.
Okay, let's take them through what they just went through.
Yeah.
So you start out, you're a guerrilla marketer on the streets dropping posters. Yes. You land in the marketing department. You flow up past 4 or 5 other positions and people. Go to USC. LSU, I think good LSU.
No Tigers.
But yeah. And so you go there, and then you get a job where you're A&R running around. You're filtering with Motown, right?
Well, I'm filtering with under Warner is Atlantic, Warner Music, Warner Brothers, and then Warner, the actual company. And so you have 3 majors, which is Universal, Warner, and Sony. Right. Motown is under Universal. I did go to Motown as when I went over into the Universal system, but I was in the Warner system first. But as I'm doing those things and I'm working as a director of A&R, then went up to be vice president of A&R, I get this call to look at a contract. Eventually, I negotiate that deal, structure better. He asked me to manage him. I did. From that management agreement, I went on to start managing other people and other acts, which I never planned on doing. I always consider myself an executive, but apparently I was naturally good at managing. So I managed Orlando Brown. I managed Tom Felton from Harry Potter. I managed, sorry, I'm losing track, Solange. I managed MGMT for the European operation. Rascal Platts as their road manager. Kelly Rowland from the group Destiny Child. I had Kyle Massey, which was also on That So Raven show. Leon Thomas from Victorious, who was also on the show with Ariana Grande that launched her career. He's also a Grammy Award-winning writer for Babyface. Cool Kids, Pac Div, Yellow Wolf, Asher Roth with Scooter Braun, and a slew of other people. Then came 2008, where I was a part of the team that discovered somebody named Arbor Graham, aka Drake. And Drake.
I'm just kidding. You know what? You're gonna show your age in that one.
So
I love it.
Will Jake collaborate with me? Because I need to do a song. I know if I slap Jake on it, it's gonna be #1 like Amigos. Yeah, or that's another topic. So Azul Winters just did the Amigos and Drake song. So he's coming back, and they're getting ready to launch it. He let me listen to it. And I go, yeah, that'll be #1. And sure enough, it was #2. So
it's gonna be #1. You know what's really interesting about all of this? I'm listening to you guys, and I'm thinking of I know a lot about you, but it was interesting how the synergy with what you're doing now and what you've done in the past and Cole's experience, how it's meshed, because you're doing this chamber and the music and the bum. I just love
the songs. I want to take you for cycles and reintroduce.
So just for me, come and see what we're doing here. So to this, you're gonna love it.
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's been a great journey. I mean, at the same time, I buy into a small equity at a company called 1821 Media, which is a film production company owned by Paris Lotzes from the Lotzes dynasty family out of Greece. And we did Machete Kills, Book of Eli, American Made, all these different films with myself, him, and also my other partner, George Zach, who created Vin Diesel's career.
Right.
And George has about $1 billion in box office receipts as a producer and executive producer. So in between of all that stuff, came a lot of touring, consulting opportunities. People call me for all type of things, entertainment. When anyone asks me my title, I say I'm an entertainment executive because entertainment is what's always been my heart, and it's what changed my life. My family has been in the business 60 years. I thoroughly believe in the manifestation of what entertainment does for people. It's no other business that takes people from impoverished communities and make them millionaires overnight, you know, and so for me, I've dealt with sports, music, film, television, my whole career. And I think it's been, a lot more to come, but that's what lends me that expertise for why someone would call me and say, let's turn this, dynasty, Compet family into this legacy artist into multiple verticals, which is what we're trying to do. He explained to you guys what a vertical was.
Right.
We're looking at taking Mr. Rick James and taking one side, doing a television show or a film. More than likely, we're leaning more to scripted series of a show because TV is where it's at today. Also, we're looking at a live entertainment component to bring a concept to the Strip or to Vegas using his music and his likeness. And we're looking at stuff in the actual CBD space because Rick James created the word Mary Jane and coined that word, which is the word people use.
That's all I've heard growing up.
For weed. Right. And so they want to create an edible for that. Then a few other things.
The gaming side.
And the gaming side.
He passed, I think it was 2005?
Yes.
So 2005 he passed. And what's fascinating about people, artists, is they actually create something, right? That lives on, their legacy. And what's amazing, you look at Michael Jackson, for example, which they talked about the difference there. And I totally get that because I was there doing that during.
I'm also a big Michael fan, so I have nothing but great things to say about Michael.
Yeah, so I was surprised. I know Jackie Jackson. I think I told you.
I used to manage his sister, Latoya.
Okay. Yeah, so it's like that. He actually bought me dinner the other night. I'm like, I was trying to pay.
His dad used to live by we have a house here in Spanish Trails. My family does. His dad used to live down the street.
And I was Joey come to my business.
I was Joe's banker.
Oh, really? Yeah. You see how much Jackson integration. I got pictures with it. I'm playing. He's playing pool there. Lost that day with it.
His niece, Devina, is a good friend of mine. She's Randy's daughter from Randy's first marriage. So she's a good friend of mine. So I have a few integrations with the Jacksons.
So Michael Jackson's estate, well, what did we say it was? Is it 50 or 100 million a year now it's making?
More than that.
Yeah, I know it had hit 100 million.
No, it was making, from the time he died up until before the pandemic,
he spent more.
It was making an average of around 150 million to as high as the biggest year earning was 985 million when they sold his equity piece of ATV back to Sony ATV. But Michael, if you don't mind me saying, I hate when people say the debt part because people don't explain to you why he was in debt. Michael was in debt for several components. And one of those was because we have things in the entertainment business called act of God clauses. And it's when you get hired to go do a show or an event and you have a clause in that contract that says an act of God clause. So the only way that you can get out of that contract if something is an act of God, which is a natural disaster of something like that. Michael was ill a lot, and he would be not able to perform on these shows. So the debt to ratio on these shows can range. If I'm paying you $30 million at times, which is what he was paid, you have the loss of funds there. You also have loss of merchandising. You have tarnish of name. You have breach of contract. So one show where he's paid, let's just say he was paid $10 million, he ends up with a debt of $60 million, right? Right. So when you have that happen around 10 times, you add those things up, it comes into hundreds of millions of dollars. So that's where that debt was coming from. And then mismanagement or misappropriation of funds, because he had 10 managers in 10 years. He had,
I mean, he didn't spend that much. He spent about $2 million a month.
yeah, he spent, but he was maybe
Anybody could spend,
but to be
but he lived frugally.
But to be frank, he was making
That's very frugal for an artist of his size.
Right. Well, there was no other artist of his size.
Yeah.
And the thing is, to be making that amount of money he was making, he could live that way. But if you had
it's like one concert. I think This Is It was what, $300 million, like that. I mean,
and guess what? AEG got to profit all of it.
They offered me $30.
They got to profit all of it because they didn't give any ticket money back. None. When you look at the component of Michael Jackson, they had this thing that was going to be written in 1989 or 1990, was going to be called The Biggest Corporation Ever Built That Never Was, which was going to be a book about Michael Jackson and his business acumen and the people around him. He was a multi-billion-dollar business, right, walking, and people didn't understand how he was able to maneuver that. And so when people talk about debt, I think we use that word very loosely in component. Now, us individuals here know what debt really is, right? Doesn't mean that Michael was poor.
Can I clarify something there? Some people might say that's not possible, that he's a billion-dollar guy. I package and sell businesses, you know that, right? So when you look at a multiplier for the type of passive income he had, if you make 100 million, that kind of multiplier can be as much as 25 times.
Right.
So there's a good argument to be made that this entire real estate, the way it is now, because he isn't performing.
No.
Could be worth, let's say, a minimum of a 10 multiplier. Minimum. And that is not a real multiplier.
Yes.
Real multiplier is more like 25.
Right.
Right. Especially
That's to the point, 5 billion,
Yes.
not 100.
Well, right now they have it, the estate at around 2.5, but Michael has an art collection has worth almost $1 billion.
Oh, geez.
And
Plus, because of the management too, as well.
they haven't even sold that. They haven't even sold his art collection. He has memorabilia that's still owned by his estate. Michael Jackson was one of the biggest earners ever. He made $122 million in one calendar year in 1991, right? From touring, just touring. So when you look at that, this artist today that's barely able to make that today, not because they can't, the fans are not there to make it. It's hard to make that amount of money when you don't have that brand that he had. He was a global brand, so it's every country he could go to. Unlike some artists, they can only go to Europe or Australia or South America or North America, some parts of Asia. Michael could go everywhere.
Yeah.
And that makes the world your oyster.
Well, you're in marketing, right? So to market Michael Jackson, he's doing a concert. You could burp that he's having a concert,
And it was so
how much did we spend on marketing?
really nothing.
Nothing. Well, This Is It. You went on telling somebody Michael's gonna be over there.
Yeah.
Sold out.
This Is It went on sale within, I think it was no less than 32 hours. 50 shows you sold out.
Yeah.
That's right.
No one has ever done that before.
Normally you have to advertise,
yeah.
but billboards, and you have to give away tickets on the radio to tell people that.
Cross promotion.
You have to pay radio stations to promote your stuff.
But that's why he was big.
That's it, and they're talking about it right away.
Right. And that's why well, we still talk about him today. So that shows you how powerful he is, because
He felt Michael won't go away.
this man is, if I had to, and people ask me this all the time, if you had to pick one talent to work with dead or alive, who would you pick? And I always say this one answer.
You know what's interesting? You know what's really interesting for this conversation too? Going back to the piece you saw last night on Rick James, Rick James was also very instrumental.
Yes.
With Michael
Yes.
being on MTV.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so we come right back now to Rick James and to his influence in the industry, based on how he said, "Look, this is wrong. You know, we don't have to be
an advocate.
Advocate.
Isn't that so? It's not,
And Michael's so great for it. As
that's the guy who creates the opportunity never gets it.
yeah, Michael gets the
We
credit.
had a hard on for him because of who he was.
Well, because it said something. How dare you?
So he was much more aggressive, right? Michael gets the credit of saying he was the black artist to integrate MTV, right? He gets that credit. That's the first black artist on MTV. But Rick was the pioneer of making and forcing MTV
Absolutely.
to put minorities on their actual channel, right? But you got to understand, in business, I understand why MTV chose Michael first. He was much more manageable. Rick was a person who you pissed off, he was going to tell you.
Yeah. Michael was more Disney.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, everybody, you could be, 5 years old to 70 parts, and anywhere in the global, and we could talk about Mary Jane. Well, this is the thing. This is lazy. I like that.
100%.
I was a break dancer when I grew up. Because, I could still do a windmill. No hands, not factory, the whole bit.
Love that.
Everything. Yeah. So,
But it's when you look at this business of entertainment, I love it, but I also see its challenges at times. Recently, I ended that contract. Was it May of 2021? So a few months ago, I was representing the biggest influencer house, influencers, as you guys know, social media house in America at the time, especially through TikTok. They're called the Hype House. And I was representing that whole Hype House and the biggest people, Addison Rays and all these different people. And I remember going home and then I said to myself, I never got into this business to work with people. And please don't get upset when I say this, because I think everyone has some type of talent. But I got into the entertainment business for traditional talent, which is some type of asset. You have to have some type of hard asset of contributing to the industry, right? And I understand that social media and everything else is an asset and it's a marketing tool, but talent is different in a sense, right? When you're singing, or if you're making music production, or if you're acting, or if you're a ball player, or if you're an athlete, or some type of hard asset for entertainment. So it was different for me. And I sat at home one day and I said, I don't really see the value I'm able to add here, right? I felt like my staff and I was just managing and moving pieces around. And one thing I've always loved doing is building brands and building with my talent and building out different verticals and helping them have a career. Some of them I took from 0 to 100, like Drake. We took him straight to MySpace. But when you have a social media personality and everything is coming, the adoration is coming from the internet, and they are trying to react. There's no proactiveness there. They're reacting to the inflow of traffic instead of making traffic. So therefore, it loses its enthusiasm for me, because it's like, what am I going to really do here? I'm just sitting here glorifying just receiving checks and
more like a traffic cop,
right,
rather than a creator.
Is that?
What's interesting too is I'd retired.
About to offend anyone?
No, I don't think so. It should just be a real.
Yeah.
At 26, I retired and had acted for 3 years because I figured, what would I do if there was nothing else that I could do? What was my passion? And I used to watch movies all the time with my dad. That was how we connected. We watched movies.
Me and my dad too, so I love that.
We loved watching movies together. And it was like, I always wanted to act. So I walked on the set of What Dreams May Come, and I walked straight up to a guy that was in raggedy jeans and smelled horrible and the whole bit. And I said, so, who's the director here? And the guy turned to me and said, well, that'd be me. So, right? Vince Ward. And I said, I'd like to be on the movie, who do I go talk to? He goes, I got a spot for you. I got in the Screen Actors Guild, walking on the set in my hometown.
That's hard, guys, by the way, what he's saying. It's not easy.
Yeah, the key is just walk by like you're supposed to be there.
act as if, right?
I act as if I just walked
In any book of motivation, they will teach you act as if.
I just walked in upset. So I got that. I got paid unbelievably. I got in the Screen Actors Guild. I'd heard from John Travolta about, because I met him through another.
Just because he knows them.
Yeah, just because. So he got me in financial core, which is another thing that the union hates, because I can do anything I want. I had an attorney prepare that. So when I joined the union, I became a core member in the union. So I could do anything I want, which is similar to a lot of people that I can't mention names because the union hates that, right? And then I did fences. Are you familiar with fences?
Yes, I know fences.
So I read the section for fences. I cried for 2 days.
Wow.
2 days.
Wow.
The language in that play is so deeply oppressed that it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
And it is nothing like people think of today.
Yeah.
It was oppression that no one talked about because it wasn't even something people considered.
Yes.
And I'm playing a mulatto, right? I'm like up to half and half. And my mom's white, my dad's black, and he's a garbage man. And I was like, so I played that in San Francisco for a good year. But there was training, blocking, movements, timing, ways delivered so that, and I could feel the audience crying.
Yeah.
When I hit certain parts where it was just deep. There's not that in the influencer business. So how do you really affect it? Like the directors that directed me in the beginning yelled and screamed and this and
Well, it's
that.
instant gratification, right? When I look at the influencer market, people don't believe me when I say this, but I've been very good at predicting trends. I say we have another about 2.5 years of this, or maybe 3 of this iteration of components of influencers. They typically have a 3 to 4 year iteration part, right? Vine had its turn. The YouTubers had their turn. It happens this way. And eventually we're going to find a way to utilize the marketing of social media, which is what you should be doing.
Right.
But still hold value to true tradition, entertainment, and true asset driven talent. Right.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to get to that place very soon because I see how quickly things are moving. But you have influencers who want to be, a bigger star or go into a traditional format and want to go into acting or music or sports or something of that narrative. And they go take the classes or they go and try to find their way. But those are very far and few in between.
Yeah.
And then you have some who, what I do enjoy though, what influence I do like are the ones that are into true journalism, like the ones that are like reviewing something or they're talking about mental health, or they're talking about injustices of certain things. Those type of influencers can go on to be in media. They can go on to have different formats of media. And I think that's okay. Because if you look at Jennifer Lopez, she was a fly dancer on Living Color, but her understanding with Keenan Ivory Wayans and learning from him helped prepare her for the traditional entertainment business. So I do think social media, if you're doing it in a certain way and learning from the media aspect of how to do direct to consumer and learn how to connect directly to the fans, is a big component for any traditional institution to hire you or bring you on. Like you have fashion bloggers that are now getting beautiful jobs for like Vogue and all these places. But the ones that are just subtracting, I was always taught in life to be an addition, not a subtractor. So if you're subtracting and you're just there raking in funds and receiving, and that's what I mean by subtracting, taking, then I don't really want to be in that business with you. But if you find a way to navigate and add, a different narrative to the landscape, then I think it's fair.
To bring something to the party.
Yeah.
Bring something to the party.
What's funny is that I think that people forget that it's not about you. It's about them.
Yeah.
Right? And about us. Right?
That's where the magic happens.
And it's like when you start really forgetting about yourself, it's magical what can happen. I mean, before you got here, we're filming a master's in business course, and I was going over licensing rights.
Okay.
About getting licensing rights, getting a proprietary interest, how to get that, how it made me a millionaire at 17 years old, that I had 200 employees.
Drop the mic.
37 years old was my youngest manager. And it's just like labels. I get that. I get about owning the catalog rights. You know, if you're going to be with the music side at Chapel, you know, and all the different stuff.
Or ATV or whoever you with.
So right now, I think, what do we have? About 10 hours of content?
Yeah.
I think it's like almost, or I think we have 10 on the other, 9 hours and 9.7 hours on the other.
Yeah.
And now we have
3 hours.
We have 3 hours in the course, and we're only 2 parts into a 15-part curriculum. So it'll probably, the whole course will be, I way over deliver. Like my real estate course, I do a master's in real estate. It's 10,000 worth of information that I sell for $99, right? I've invested $45 million in my education in it, which you saw about 15 million in mistakes. And, you know, I'm like,
It wasn't a mistake because you learned from it.
I learned from it and I did it. And
Benefiting now too.
Yeah.
and, you know, it's not, and I look at other courses that are 2 hours. Mine's like almost 10. And I don't even care about the $99.
Yeah.
I want to give. I don't want people to make
Well, you
mistakes.
get more, when you get to a place that I'm assuming you are, you get to a place of, when you give, you get more. Right. You get, what I mean by getting more, I'm not saying more money, you get more out of life. The universe loves for us. Knowledge is meant to be shared, not meant to be owned, right? You should share it. You should pass it along. You should run to give it out, right?
Yeah.
But so many people hoard the knowledge and want to keep it inside of a certain group of people because it's power with that knowledge.
Well, what does that say? What goes? What much is
So much is given, much is required.
much is required?
Right, and that's it. But that parable, was big.
talents. You know, the one that actually made money was responsible for everybody else. It's like, I feel like that guy. If you can make a living and do really well, you better start taking care of people.
You have to.
It's right in the Bible. It's
But
like,
that parable is not just about finances. That parable is also about if you have a bigger heart, then you have a bigger responsibility.
Yeah.
If you have a skill set with science, you know how to be a chemist, you have a bigger responsibility. Whatever you've been given more than the rest of the population, that's what too much is given, much is required means.
yes.
It means,
Welcome to your bird.
yes,
That's your cross.
that's your cross there. And so people people hear that parable and think, oh my God, it means I have to have money. No, to much is given, much is required. Whatever your much is, that's what you're supposed to give or help add to the rest of the population or your community.
That's
right?
the value.
Right. We can't
Comes right back.
200%. We can't save everyone. Like Fabian, you know, we were talking a little bit before we started, and here's a guy from, you know, a small region,
Right. Moved
moved to the East Coast.
Yep.
Then from the East Coast decided he was going to move to Nevada, Las Vegas, Nevada in 1976, where Nevada was not the Nevada we see today.
200,000 people.
Right.
Yeah.
And he knew that he would work in finance, and he just went after that job. And he didn't want to get into finance because he wanted to be the biggest banker in the world and make the most money. He wanted to get into finance because he saw a problem in how people was able to get access to funds. Right. And I say this to people all the time. Everyone asks me, what's my number? What's the number you want to have financially? You know, that, and I always tell them, I want to get.
That's like, there is no number. I want to fill my cup and fill your cup.
It's a few close friends that ask me this question because they know me and they say, what's your actual number of comfortability? And I say it's a multi-billion-dollar number. And the reason for that is not because I need a multi-billion-dollar number. It's because I want to be a bank. And I know how hard it is for people to go get loans and to get money for their corporations and their companies. And so for me, it's like, that's why I want the funds, because I want to be able to say, okay, that's a great idea.
Yep.
You have a management team. Say you've been baking for years, baking cakes and cookies and all this stuff, right? And you want to open up your own bakery, and you're tired of working for John's Bakery. You said, I can do this, right? I've been doing it for 15 years.
Yeah.
You found a financial CFO or some type of accountant. You found an attorney. You found the space. You found the marketer you wanted. You have all the administration team you need to make this work. And you come to me as the entity of X and says, I have a 5-year goal plan, and this is my revenue projections, profit and loss. I have the administration team that have the experience to make this happen. I have 15 years of experience. And then you might have another cherry on top and said, this is what the baking industry is doing now, but I want to do this and make it better and make it more streamlined. I should be able to fund you and be a partner in your business with you on a profit share thing, not giving you a loan, but make you a partner integration wise and help you blow that business up. And I think that's what's missing. The credit system, the business system, and the banking system of this country is a road. It just is terrible to me, in my opinion. No, but you're not in the system anymore. You left the system. You left the system to be a better integrator.
Absolutely.
You knew the system. You mastered the system. Now you can teach others.
Exactly. I can't believe you're saying this. So can you believe you're saying this? I can't believe you're saying this. So what, right now, part of the reason I'm building the course is because I want to help people in business and put up the cash that they don't have.
Exactly.
So
I have to shake his hand on that because it's been on life.
so my goal is to do 67 companies first. I want,
Because
my goal is to put pictures on this wall and make people millionaires within 3 years the real way. And I want to buy businesses. I want to buy established businesses that are there, put the capital up, but I don't want to run anything more.
I don't want to run. You should let them. No, I'm sorry. First of all, it's not even fair to them because let them run their business. But the thing is, the access to capital is so hard in this country and around the world.
everywhere.
But it's really hard in this country, especially for especially for minorities. Especially for minorities, especially for people in impoverished neighborhoods, people with lack of education, people who don't have great credit. That word credit, I hate the word credit.
Yeah, here's the thing though, and this is the I got to be honest. If an SBA, I don't want to say, if an application comes in,
Yes.
and you are a minority woman,
Yes.
I'm pulling you first. And it's been that way for a long time. We need to get the message out.
Yes.
To try. And I think that's what we've been doing for years.
Absolutely.
Is because people quit before they try.
But much is given.
I mean, if you, and we tell people, we'll give you a way to go. Come back in 1 year, pay some bills on time.
Yeah, but guess what? You teach them. That's why I left. That's why I left the bricks and mortar banking 6 years ago. It's exactly.
We won't give up on anybody.
Well, this-
I already know.
This guy's saying I couldn't help. There's so many people you couldn't help.
Yeah.
You know, and there's an alternative now for me because I don't have to sit in a branch and go, okay, here are my rules and regulations.
Well, you don't have those
underwriting criteria. I'm sorry, I can't help you. How many people I've said that to? Now I have the world as my oyster because okay, you know what? You've got this. No, I could take you to here. Or I could take you here. I'm not subject to what, and I sleep so much better.
Well, you're not institutionally driven, right?
You're not. So but here, we'll give you, just to give you an idea of what he just said. Let's say Cole, right? And I, AC, right? We got a bank and we got messed over by
into my watch. That was my first tattoo. I got my initials.
So we invest in a bakery, and for some reason we invested in 2 bakeries and they failed. Our new box for lending while we're out on the golf course and we're drinking beers is that we don't do bakeries.
Right.
Fabian's back in the back. He's working his butt off, and who walks in the door? A person that has the perfect bakery.
Best bakery ever made.
Best bakery ever. He knows it's perfect. The guy has capital. He has credit. He has character. He's got a solid business plan. He's business to business forever. He's got all the C's, right? And because of the,
We decided that we
and
don't.
I can't say it's the weirdest thing. I have 75 different banking partners, right? And I'm sure you've got hundreds of banking partners. And we'll call them, it's like, okay, what's your box? Some of them can't lend in for certain sectors because they're already on their business plan or state. So they're already invested too much in one area because a bank starts around to diversify.
Yeah, they're top heavy.
But how are you going to know that?
Right.
Again, that's the system. This system, and I can have a whole conversation on it, which y'all bro have. This system is so flawed. It's broken. It's horrible, you know. But when you look at guys like yourselves and you talk about why you do what you do, that goes back to that parable. So much is given, much is required. You guys have this spirit that was in you that's been pushing you towards this narrative before it was even a construct or people were talking about it. So therefore, that's your much is given right there. Yeah, that's and then you financially got to a place or professionally got to a place where you could actually act upon those emotions and those feelings. And that goes the giving, right? But everyone, they're very scared of what the retaliation would be for them. People are scared about what this means for me. Everybody's always talking about me. And I live a different life. I'm a we guy. I love to look in a room and say, how can we all do this, right? I love collaborative work. I love.
There's so much money on the planet, and we live in abundance, and people act like we don't.
Yeah.
Right? I mean,
Well, because that's the propaganda. The propaganda is telling you it's only a few people can get this.
Yeah.
So the propaganda is telling you, hey, don't try to be a millionaire. Don't try to be a multimillionaire. Don't try to be a billionaire because you won't get it. It's only a few people that can get there. You need to stay in your little job, stay in your lane, stay in your lane. Now, we do need workers because that's how life works. I call them sheeple. We need sheeple and you have shepherds. I've never been a sheep in my life and I don't come from that pedigree. But if you are a sheeple, just make sure while you being a sheep out there in that worker field, make sure you're getting the proper dues for your work.
And
you're
whatever
best at it. And you're the best at it.
I also think, and this is what's funny. We've had this, and we've talked about this. The issue of sheep or shepherd, right? I've always saw myself as a shepherd.
Yes.
But sometimes you get with another shepherd, and you got to be a sheep, and you flow with the shepherd because you learn along the way, and it'll fast track what you're doing. Because
it's exactly what we're doing.
I guarantee
exactly what we're doing.
If I could shadow you I would want to shadow you. Do you know what I'm saying?
But see, I love iron sharpens iron. That's my philosophy, right? I don't even look at it as when you're following another person with a better expertise or everyone has a different skill set. It doesn't mean you
be your best follower.
It doesn't become.
If I followed you around, oh my God,
it doesn't mean you become a sheep. Because
you would think about coffee.
A sheep doesn't
have coffee in your hand.
A sheep doesn't think, right? We know this, right? If you learn anything about sheep, they don't really think.
Right.
So that's why they need to be shepherded around, right? So we would never be sheep, none of us, because we have a brain that's always working. But what we could be is a intern or a intrigued individual of your expertise, because we were still at the same time as Fabian is learning from me, I'm learning from him. At the same time as I'm learning from you, you're learning from him, I'm learning from you. So the difference between shepherds and people that are more enlightened or in tune, even when you're following under other people, they're learning from you because you're still bringing added value in the midst of that. If I shadowed you for 48 hours, at some point in time of that 48 hours, I'm going to add some type of value because I know that about myself.
And you have the mindset too to allow that collaboration to happen.
Collaborative
ego has to go out the door. Because if it doesn't, then it collapses and there's no way to proceed.
Yeah.
Now, once you get that ego out of the way and you go, wait a minute, I see what you got.
Exactly.
And I said, oh, I see what you got. Oh, I see what you got too. Let's do that.
And appreciation, the most common human need is to want to feel appreciated.
Yeah.
So if I sit and you sit and Fabian sit in a room and we started talking about something privately, I guarantee you within 2 hours we would have a solution to something, to something major, because every last one of us have a different skill set. But also we have, I believe, based off of all the things he's told me about you and my brief little knowing of you, is that all three of us have what we consider collaborative effort.
Yeah.
We love to be inspired and work with others who have something to offer as well.
True.
And I think that's why certain people make it and some people don't. People tend to want to hoard the power or hoard control and not let someone else get a little light because they are insecure. Right. And they tend to say, well, I need it to be about me. But if it's about you, then you are not going to win, because guess what? No one gets anywhere by themselves.
No, it's a dwindling spiral. Yeah. What percentage do you think, if I'm putting up the capital, what percentage do you think I'm going to do those deals at for the wall of millionaires up on them?
What percentage I think?
What do you think about? I already,
based off what you said, I'm gonna say a low percentage.
Okay, I gave you.
You gave it a West. Now, okay, and based on me talking with you a little longer, I've gathered that this is more.
So don't play poker with this guy.
I'm actually very bad at poker, but I'm great at chess. So strategy and looking at moves are really great at.
This is the long term look, not to the
But what I do think is very impressive is the biggest thing I find people may have an idea, but the act of getting onto the idea and making it a reality is very hard for most people to do. That's probably 5% of the population in the world does that, and you're doing it. So to me, as a person who's had this feeling and wanting to do it and you're doing it, I have to tip my hat, because that's impressive. Because you are telling me, and I'm watching and I'm looking around at the things and the verticals that you're doing. Everything. I've been working on a book for 11 years.
Mine was 26, but that's good. I've been working on 11 years. Give me some motivation. It's there.
You're okay.
First of all, I want to not say I've worked on it. I've been toying around with the book for 11 years. I wrote a few chapters, a few little things, but what I love is the impressiveness that you can get from another shepherd is seeing someone say they're going to do something and do it.
Yeah.
That's the hardest part.
Oh, it would eat me alive if I say I'm going to do something and I don't do it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I don't speak things out of my mouth.
I'm like,
I know the things I want to work on that I'm working on that I haven't finished, but I don't tell a lot of people, right? The reason I could say something off the book, because that's going to get finished but I'm happy it's taking its time and it's doing it, because to me, it's certain lessons in this book that I want to share to the world that I'm still learning.
yeah.
And therefore, I want everything I speak about to be the truth that I've walked through and I've experienced it. And I know it to be an actionable item and it can work for you, right? I love when Tony Robbins talks about the giant within and things of that nature. These are books that he's written about steps and chapters and parts of times of his life that he's actually walked through. Yeah. And he's now came on the other side. So now you can write about it, right? The Origin of Opportunity by Andrew Cartwright is, I'm a marketing guy. I'm assuming a book that you walk through in a story and a journey that you already been there. My book is about steps of proactive thinking, right? And it's certain parts of my makeup that I haven't finished on my proactive journey. So therefore, I don't feel authentic, going back to authentication, to put a book out that I haven't finished walking through all the steps myself.
Interesting. Yeah, you do want to complete it for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, totally. All right, so this is part one.
Stay tuned for part
What I think was
This is part two.
Yeah, we're excited of the collaboration that we're getting ready to do here in Las Vegas. It's taking me to another side of stuff that I love to do as far as the entertainment industry, and to work with the legendary with James and the estate and Ty, his daughter, and with his background, as you heard, and to what I can bring to the table as far as being here in Las Vegas for a long time, as a child of the soil in a way, from being here since '76. And then to be able to collaborate again with you in what you can bring to the table, what we're doing.
All right, that's going to be part two, guys. First part two is going to show you where this is exciting. Cartwright is part of the team. We're leaving that for the cliffhanger. Stay tuned to part two. So before we leave, one last wrap up was the question I asked you about percentage wise. So I would say I put up the money.
You put up the money.
What's it?
I'm going to throw a number out here, guys. I'm just going to say under 15%.
Actually, 19.
Okay. It's close. Within the 4 points.
Yeah, you're real. So I'll show you that. So as an economist, you'd be accurate.
Yeah. So I just base that off of what he said and where he sits in life at this moment, because it's not a play for him from a financial standpoint, but you still have to get, a piece of the pie because you put the work in. And your capital is work. But he is doing it to actually integrate into the economy and get people moving better and faster and quicker. So I'm assuming he would want them to own more liquidity there so they can grow.
So the valuation too. Yeah, but at the other point, it's because 90% of a dollar is one thing, but 90% of 2 million is a bit different.
Yeah.
So
or build on the.
What I found too is I've been, I'll give you an example. I gave away half a business, a $6.5 million a year company. I gave away half of the company. And my partner hated the fact that I owned half the company. I've had other partnerships that were 50-50, and there were, even though I did what I did or had the company before or put up the money, they hated me for owning that much. So my idea was with this is to give 81%. So it's your business. You take not only your salary, but also profit. And then, I get my piece.
And they're operating on it, right? They're operating on it, right? When you look at Sam Walton, who started Walmart, one of the things he did early on, because he was a country guy from Arkansas, and the other big box stores and grocery stores at the time were all kind of huddled under certain family names and other businesses. And he couldn't get into that world. He really couldn't get his footing into that little playground. And all the banks were looking at him and saying, you're a country guy and I'm not going to give you any money. And it was hard for him to raise that capital to keep growing the business. So what he did was very interesting. He took his first employees that he had and he offered them shares, and he reused their actual salaries to help fund the business, but give them a piece of the pie. So a lot of those first employees, I think it's under 100 people, are multimillionaires today because they were willing to take that journey with him, and he could not raise capital traditionally. So he raised it from hiring people.
Nancy Walden is my neighbor.
Really?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I run by her house every day.
I know his grandson, Lucas.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So a Walton connection.
Yeah. Center connection too. That's crazy.
But he's a very impressive guy. But I had a great time here.
I did too. Thank you guys so much.
Cartwright and his team. I can't wait to come back and further our conversation on part 2. So you got
Anthony Cole.
Yes. Cole.
Cole.
Yep. And Fabian Vincent. Thank you guys so much.
Andrew, thanks.
Always a pleasure.
Thank you.
Absolutely.